Hey guys, I'm Ashley and today we're going to make some leather strops here on chip builds. Let's check it out. For this project, I ended up using some scrap walnut and some scrap leather that I had to make these leather strops. I made a template for myself just to make things easier and more symmetric in the handle shapes, and I really just used it as a guide. I kind of, traced the shape and then I wasn't super happy with it, so I kind of sketched it out. I will have these templates available for you to download if you want to use those ones, or just use it as a reference as I did. Now I wanted to use a jigsaw for this project just because I thought it would be a lot faster, but I could not find it, so I ended up having to use my scroll saw and I really hated it. This scroll saw is fairly cheap, and so it just jumps around a lot and I don't have anything I can really clamp it to, and it doesn't really like hardwood. For the most part it worked out, but it took a lot of patience and a lot of force just to get it to cut out the general shape of the handle, and it did make me have to do a whole bunch of sanding afterwards just to kind of refine the shape. I used the orbital sander with 120 grit sandpaper over all the edges and the handle just to refine that shape again like I mentioned, and it really did a great job, but it really helped me get that more organic shape of the handle that I was going for. Once I had the handle cut out and sanded to the way I wanted it, I then came and took a palm router and rounded over all the edge with an 1/8 inch roundover bit, just so I could smooth it out and it would feel nicer in your hand when you held it. Now that the woodworking part was done, I went and I got my pieces of scrap leather and I just kind of used the wood to measure out a rough shape of what I needed. I did cut the leather oversized so that I could trim it flush after it was glued, and this leather was a little thicker than it probably should have been for this application, so it took a lot of time to cut it out because I had to do 8 pieces. Once I had all my pieces cut, I then took some painter's tape and just wrapped it over the handle in a straight line. That way I knew where to put the contact cement up to, and that it would be an easy cleanup if any kind of spilled over towards the handle. Now the way contact cement works is you put a generous amount on the 2 surfaces that you want to bond permanently, and you just kind of lather it on and brush it on, and then you let each side dry for 15 minutes. I tried to be as careful as I could lining up the leather to the tape line that I had, and I did okay, and I just kind of pounded on it and put as much pressure as I could to really get that contact cement to bond well so that I wouldn't have any issues of it trying to come apart in the future. My scrap leather was pretty warped just because it's been out in the various elements, so I did end up putting a couple tools on top just to kind of help clamp it down and flatten it out. I ended up using an X-Acto knife to trim flush all the leather to the wood, and on one side I ended up putting a bit of a bevel on it, and it was just kind of a happy accident. It ended up looking really nice, and because the blade was so short I kind of had to have it at an angle, so if I were to do it again I wouldn't have that angle, but it kind of ultimately made it look a little nicer. I finished all the wood parts with walrus oil, and I really like this finish. It's a oil and wax blend, and it just makes the wood feel so nice in your hand. It feels nice and soft, and it definitely is going to be protected from any use that it gets. So a leather strop is typically used to sharpen knives and blades and even axes and anything really that's sharp. And what you do is you have a rough side and then you have a smooth side, and you'll just do some passes, about 10, maybe 20 with the bevel of the blade, and you do an equal amount of the rough passes for the smooth passes. On the rough side you do put some stropping compound down just to help sharpen it up. And just doing it a few times in between your carvings really helps them stay sharp, and a sharp knife is way safer than a dull knife. You'll have a less chance of cutting yourself, so I'd highly recommend it, and it's really easy to make. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I will be giving away this poplar strop that I made. It was a lot of fun. I just kind of went overboard and I made about 4 of them, but this is the only one that I kind of liked enough to give it away. The other ones were alright. Didn't turn out as great, but if you liked this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know down in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like, and just let me know. So thanks for watching, guys.